Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. It's Free Flowing Thursday again, and we are delighted to be here in the gardens of the Ligani Club. Happy to welcome those who have joined us on air and those who have joined us online. As always, you know, we cherish your input. And to those who are going to miss calling us this morning, please make a note. Cruz in St. Elizabeth, good morning. Make a note of whatever you hear that you want to weigh in on if we are alive and well come Monday morning and we're back on air. But I do want to welcome you to the Morning Connection. This is your host, Minette Lawrence. We're here at the Ligani Club. I say good morning also to the staff of JD's Urban Pub. They're up early getting the place ready to receive their diners in another half an hour or so. Also to the hardworking staff right here at the club. The place is in immaculate condition, just waiting to greet you if you have a desire to do a business breakfast in the city. Whatever it is you're doing that brings you into the New Kingston area, the Ligani Club is a great place to stop in, have a drink, rest your feet. Really good parking. If aside from the other wonderful attributes, we have excellent parking here at the club. That's a big plus when you're in the city. We've been driving around for some assignments yesterday on the road. It was a nightmare. Good morning to Owen Shorty Stevenson. Wow, he was on the road with me, or rather, I was on the road with him yesterday. And it was a real blessing to share with you, Shorty. I look forward to working with you again. Shorty was one of the great stalwarts in the telecoms business, which you all know the history. Carousel, carousel, carousel. Long live carousel. Anyhow, I am waiting to see Pastor Percival turn the corner so that we can greet you together. But at the moment, of course, the producer is here. Good morning to you. Lydie is back at the studio. And together, the team is going to make it work for you on this Thursday. Free Flowing Thursday is the Morning Connection's pre-weekend show. In fact, for us, the weekend starts on Thursday. And wow, it is February already, second month of the year. I cannot believe that the month of January is behind us in the rearview mirror. But thankfully, I am part of a great ministry which says all year we shall be having breakthroughs, victory on all fronts. So January was dubbed the month of miracles, but so is February. And as I watch Pastor Percival coming beautifully attired in his African wear, all I can tell you is that it's all about Percy today because his birthday is tomorrow and we're not going to be with him. So, you know what? If you're on WhatsApp or if you're checking us out on YouTube, send in your messages for Percy so we can bless him with as many, many greetings as possible. He'll soon be on camera. You can see the splendor of his attire. You're in your birthday shirt. I can tell. No, not that birthday shirt, everybody. One that come from Africa. No, not that birthday. Because the one that come from Africa is also the black skin. Oh dear. Hurry up and come on the online so we can celebrate you. All right, so much is happening. And you know, I am truly excited because I would like to believe that Percival and I have been at the forefront advocating for some of these changes, agitating things in the spirit world, and it looked like everything is happening all at once. You know for sure I'm going to have something to say to you about what is in the media these days, non-disclosure agreements. Not really in its purest sense. That's not what NHT should be talking about. Really, it's confidentiality agreements as it relates to those contracts or settlement agreements. When you say we will maintain the confidentiality of the agreement, what exactly are you keeping quiet about? And does it really stop you from speaking to the public concerning your motivation in entering a settlement or even the reasons why an agreement may have become a disputed event in the life of a national agency? I believe some conversation on it will prove useful as we try to make sense of what we see going on around us. And of course, the Integrity Commission back in the news again. Truth of it is, Integrity Commission will always be in the news for a season because until certain behaviors are removed from national life, you must be hearing from and about the Integrity Commission. So we have all of that to talk about. Free Flowing Thursday, of course, is when Percival and I tie up those loose ends, whatever they might be. From Monday to Wednesday, we talk about a number of things. We receive calls, we speak scripture, we look at things happening on the front page locally, sometimes internationally, but mostly locally because I think we do need to spend a lot more time in our own house before we start to, pick the beam out of other people's eyes or pick the moth out of other people's eyes. I mean, I like to think that the beam is in other people's eyes
That's
and not in my own.
Yeah, but Jesus reminded us when he says that, you will see that little thing in that bird eye, but no, a big thing is
There's
bigger
a
thing
plank in yours.
eyes. And he says, no.
Yeah. But Jamaican, sometimes when you listen to, I heard a young lady give me a full analysis of what's going to happen in the U.S. elections.
Oh, that she did?
Yes. And then I said to her, so what do you think is going to happen here?
She couldn't tell you.
No, she had an opinion, but less reasoned.
Okay.
You understand? And in part, now that I think about it, in part I believe it's because other countries do a lot of analysis that's based on trends and statistics and, all kinds of copious amount of data. Whereas in Jamaica, it tends to be gut feel.
We're spiritual people. And they're spiritual. But I think that's what that is. Are more open. But it is interesting.
I was in her office and she said to me, do you mind if I listen to the news? So I thought she meant local news. She said, no, I like to follow what's going on in America.
Well, that is interesting, no?
Hey, but I've been certain places. I got into a motor vehicle the other day, owned and being driven by a man who was once a minister of government, minister of state, albeit. And it was Sirius XM, which is international radio. Sirius. Satellite radio.
Okay.
It was Sirius XM, and all that it was churning out. American news.
That's all it was doing?
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought it would
what
have
else is
given us some
serious?
European news.
No, man, this is the serious feed from the Americas, I guess. What are you doing? It's quite puzzling.
And my
Your
shoelace.
shoelace.
But you
It
know,
wouldn't trip you up on radio.
well,
It could stay.
but it would not. But they talk about shoelace. This morning, as we are, today is the day. Today we'll hear. I think when we'll have our local government elections. There's a big meeting happening in Montego Bay today with
In the course of the day or in the evening? Evening
during
meeting?
the course of the day.
Okay.
I think with um the minister responsible for local government and community development, where they are meeting. The government is meeting with all of their candidates, 217 candidates, I believe it is.
Oh,
So I figure out of that, they must make an announcement. Because today is the 1st of February, and you were pointing out to everybody that today is my day. Tomorrow is my day.
The whole month is Percy month.
And it's not a joke. I celebrate.
All about Percy.
No. I celebrate my birthday very much.
All month.
And I tell all the friends, if you sell them wish it, but send the cash my way.
Well, I put out a request for a motor car.
Okay, what? You don't know. I'm in that place. I'm in that place.
I'm in that place too. So. Twins.
If we get twins, I'm in that place. I'm
praying for twins.
I'm in the place that says anything what is impossible with Percy's imagination is very possible with the father that he has.
Yeah. And it's not impossible in your imagination. So just imagine.
Yeah.
In fact, Earl Brown had said Rolls Royce. He sees a Rolls Royce
Right.
in your future.
Oh, wow.
I hope he's sending it, like from Canada, a Rolls Royce.
No, that would create a major thing. So it would be, where is that funds coming from? You understand?
But thankfully, your boss knows exactly where your funds come
You
from.
know, that is, no, but on a more serious note, it has happened to me, saying that somebody has gifted me, and it just blew my mind. Somebody just says, this is what I believe that God is asking me to do. And it just blew my mind. The word of God says, beyond what you can even imagine or think, God is able to do. And you've been praying for something and you add up all of the things outstanding. I say, no, Father, that'd be a good gift, when you look at all the debts that you have. And then you've been tracking it. This is actually a testimony I'm giving. You've been tracking it for about a year. And you're going, all right. And you remember you pray and you leave it.
Yes.
And one day I go into my office and I
Yeah.
see an envelope on my desk. And I say, I sent something, come give me now. Thinking the worst. What kind of trouble this? And I was going and somebody said, no, somebody left an envelope there for you. And I opened it and then it was a card. And the individual says, you have been such a blessing to us.
Yeah.
We just figure we just want
do
to
the
give
same
this
for you.
for you. And I saw a piece of paper sticking out. I said, what is this? It was a check. And then there was another check. So it was two checks that covered what was outstanding in one instance.
That's wonderful.
So there's nothing I don't believe that my God can do for me, because there's another word. It says, if you have given up in this life, it says it's going to give you
100-fold.
full and in excess.
More, you get back parents,
and everything.
mother, father,
house
family,
and land
the
and
whole-
everything.
Right, yeah.
And that was not.
It's a specific promise.
Yeah.
And you did give up. I mean, I remember you sharing a little of your testimony, and you did walk away from corporate life and step into ministry where you live by the grace of God.
By faith. You simply live by faith, walk by faith. Not that you do not get something from the church, but when you...
I'm going to look for that scripture.
but it...
When Peter said, what happened to us who gave up everything?
And he says...
I'll find it while you give your testimony.
But and then again we were building our house, and we built a house without money, because I remember that was just right after we were married, and my wife said to us, I don't want to live in a rented house anymore. I said, but we don't have no money.
That's what you tell your wife.
Yes, I said, but we don't have no money. We don't have no money
Oh,
to
Jesus.
begin the process. But but there's somebody has to have the faith and you join with it, for real. And so we started to apply because I'd work and she'd work. We had accumulated NHD points. NHD is in the news, interestingly. And we started to look. A lot of schemes were going out, and we knew how much points we have, and we applied for the different schemes. And they said, no, your people have accumulated more points. And we said, okay, finish. And we went all over looking. We went as far away as Old Harbor, Kingston.
Oh my,
Just
so you were
looking.
prepared to live
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah, that's where we were at. And we looked and saw some things. And I said, okay. And my wife says, all right. And she'd come home from church every day. And she'd be looking in the section. She said, we're going to buy land. I said, my refrain, we don't have any money. And she zeroed in on 3 plots of land, and we went and looked, and we decided on one plot. And don't have any money. But I'd mentioned it to my mom, and I don't know if I mentioned it to this sister in the church. And one day she comes and she says, here, the Lord says to give you this. And it was then about $50,000, which was a whole lot
A
of money.
whole
Now, that
lot.
of money then.
No, it can barely buy your family dinner.
Yeah, and then my mom says, remember this, and she gave, and that's how we got the deposit.
And you
And the
were in.
person that we purchasing the land from was a nurse, and because my wife was a nurse, she took off about $200,000 just like that off the what she was
That's it.
asking.
Yes,
And,
you're asking
and so we
price.
got the land. So we have the land, and I'm saying, okay, all right, we have the land now. We paying back mortgage and land,
And no house.
and no no house still. And
But
it's
you
like,
could have been tent dwellers like Jacob and Isaac.
yeah, that's possible, but that would have been a real. That would have been a real.
Can you imagine? Did you tell your wife, well, we have land, let's get a tent?
When we come back from our 7 o'clock break, but no, that is one story of God's faithfulness. Anyway,
Today it's all about you. You can tell your story.
just one thing
This is
to
the least
somebody.
we can do. Your birthday being tomorrow, we won't see you.
Yeah.
Yes, we're on break.
Yeah.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome again to the Morning Connection. You know, it is Percival's birthday tomorrow, and tomorrow is always today.
Don't have
So
an
we brought
expectation
it forward.
for tomorrow. But just to
Yeah.
finish the story. So my wife says, okay. So we get the land, and round about that time, the government understand what was happening, started to move what you could borrow from NHT.
Oh,
Remember, then they
they
just
start to
started
increase
with
it.
it
Yeah.
increase what they could borrow.
Yeah.
No! And we applied and we got through.
So
But
now each of you getting your
their
entitlement.
entitlement, right.
All right. So this is the building loan now.
So it's a building loan. So we start to build, and then one of the things was one of my brothers in the church who was a contractor say, "Hey, I'll build a house for you, and what I'd have charged for contractor's fee will go into
So that's the 25% contractor's levy.
yeah." Yeah, so he says, I just put, that's my gift to you. So I was saying, yeah, Father, I've been going, no, whoa. Yeah, when we started to build, I
Are
don't
you
know where
getting
these guys
teary-eyed?
we don't know where these guys came from, but everybody want to work. I say, all right,
Beautiful.
they want to work, but it's not government contract. I should have like the
Not
prime
the
minister.
Prime Minister
You're
announced.
being known. We have to come to work. So we're there one day, and all of these guys come and say, okay, I have no problem, If you work and work hard, this is the man. And then I wonder how people do construction in this company. Them start saying, well, we not work. We just want our money.
They want to collect.
And then decide to threaten the man.
So this would be what, in the 90s?
Yeah, in the 90s, in the 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
So we do that, and they threaten the man. What am I shooting him in the face and things?
Wow.
Wow. That's a reality, because when you speak about extortion and construction site, which is something that goes, I called my brother and said, so what you can do, because he's a policeman, so him go
So this
check.
now is your blood brother,
Yeah,
not
my
your...
blood brother, my older brother.
Yeah.
And him go and he spoke and him say, almost government work just broke by him. You making fun of him saying, what are you talking about? Him said, because it looks like it's just a given that when it's a government contract, the extortion and the thing will happen. And my brother became so upset because he has a license for, and he said, shoot me.
Oh,
And
this
the
is the contractor now.
who said, a Christian man, he said, shoot me. Oh. And him say, you know what? So the enemy comes in, and him say, me can't bother.
He quit.
He quit.
The man who was going to bless you with
yeah, just quit.
with a 25% discount.
Yeah, and I say, Lord, what is this now? You know what we did?
Oh, jeez.
Because this is something I tell people. For you to get what you must get, and the Lord the promise, when you go into the promised land, with land flowing with milk and honey, the things that you need to access, you have to fight for it, because the enemy don't want you to get it. You know that, right?
I know
They
that.
don't want. So, you know what we did? Myself, my wife, and I remember these other deacons, an older deacon, then, because I was a pastor then. I said, come, we go pray over the site. And I remember she's deceased now. Another sister was in our core group. I went and prayed over the site. We just said, Lord, this is yours. And we prayed. When we prayed, I went back to NHD, and he says, I know a contractor who can work with them, man, the following Monday. And the guys, they said to me in the ear, this is the fastest they've ever seen a house
Go up.
Because you go and say, Lord, some people call it cut and clear. Cut and clear. But I was working with a time frame that I needed to be in the September in Sydney for the 2000 Olympic Games.
Oh, okay. I thought your wife was pregnant.
No, she was, when we
that too.
started, that time my second had just been born. And I says, no, I can't leave you here. I have to make sure the house is complete and you're there. And so all of those things. I said, God is a good God. See, the scripture that you were looking at in Mark, we refer to that. Yeah.
Yes, so the first scripture with which we are blessing Pastor Percival on this birthday celebration is from the book of Mark. What better gift to give to a man of God than more God?
True.
Yeah, so this is your gift. In the book of Mark, chapter 10, Jesus responds to a young man who has approached him wanting some advice on how to get into the kingdom. And he gives him a very shocking disclosure. Everyone was shocked. The young man was shocked. The disciples were shocked. And Jesus addressed matters for them. And what the promise Jesus gave to them in that exchange is what we are giving to Pastor Percival. Jesus said to them, it is a difficult thing for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Because he had said to this rich young man, your answer is sell everything that you have, give it to the poor, and then come back to me.
And then come follow me.
Ooh, the young man left sorrowful. He had a great deal of wealth, and he didn't plan on divesting himself of his wealth.
It's the same with the camel and
Yes, it's right after that Jesus said, hey, hard for rich people to come in here because...
But not impossible.
Not impossible. It will be easier for the camel to get through this narrow passage than for the rich man to come burdened with all his wealth and enter the kingdom. So the disciples, intrigued by that, said, whoa, we have left everything and come. They, I think, were curious. What of us who have left everything and come to you? And this is where Pastor Percival is. Highly educated young man in the prime of his life, in a very good job in the corporate world, with a young wife in their early years of great fertility. This is Percival I'm explaining. And he leaves a job for which he was well suited and was enjoying great success to be in full-time ministry. Is that you, Percival?
Yeah, but what was fascinating, I didn't know this. I indicated it to my boss. I worked at Colgate Palmolive.
Yes, international. Yeah.
And I said it to him, and him say, "You're mad." He is a madman, because he said to me, "You don't have house. You're on the way up." And then he said to me, he says, I'm leaving. I'm going back because in those positions.
An expat.
And he says, I'm recommending that you
be my replacement.
Be the plant manager. That's what he said to me. And I said, boss, I really appreciate the faith and the confidence, but this is what I'm clearly...
God is calling.
God
is calling.
And so, and I didn't know that is when I was celebrating years after. This is like, so I do this when I'm about 20, 29, thereabout. On my 50th birthday,
yes,
my mom,
yes,
who when I said it to her, she said, if that is what God is calling you to, son, go. I'm behind you, I'm praying. She says, she tells me this story that she worked in Inland Revenue, in what we call TAJ now.
Yes.
And she said, this man come to her and said, I have this wonderful young man, in my office, and he's done well, and he tell me that he's going into full-time ministry, not knowing
that is your mother.
And I never knew that story. Is when I'm celebrating, she said, she remembers when I made the decision to do that. So I've not regretted it. I'm not, but
well, there's good reason why you should not regret it, because you have entered into a promise. So these are the words of God to Percy. And it's the word to you too. Should
people
you
out there who
feel a call on their life and need to make a decision.
And a decision, but my perspective on Christians, you are called to minister wherever you are at. It's that some of us are called to serve in the temple, but you, if you are a believer, wherever you are called to speak about the kingdom and to be an example. How much people can serve in a church anyway? All of you.
And then who would come to church?
Yeah.
If all of us, all of us are already there.
You know what it is.
Yeah, but I in all seriousness, Percival, as the producer, Lowell, and I were discussing the program for today, I said, my heart is that as many of us as can speak a word of blessing for Percival, honoring the man who you are, we don't have, material things to heap on you, and you wouldn't take them anyway, except for the car. Those who,
The car that
yes,
the
except for the things that obviously would make that kind of difference. But we can say to you how we feel about you, and we can share with you what the Word of God is revealing concerning you. And this one was right in my spirit the whole time. Even though earlier in the week we talked about the needle eye gate, this leaving of the natural things to cleave to God and to serve is something that comes with a certain reward. And we can call on that blessing. I'm calling on it for you because it is always present. So I bring to your remembrance the words of Jesus. He says, truly, I tell you. This is in answer to Peter, who spoke up. We have left everything to follow you, and you did leave everything. You consciously left it. Some of us have it plucked away from us, like I had it taken from me. You left it. No one, says Christ, who has left home or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or fields. Fields here broadly represents the wealth of the world. You know, everything, the wealth is in the land.
in the land. That's true.
Fields for me and the gospel, meaning your life in Christ and your desire to spread the good news. Gospel means good news, everybody. Your desire to live in Christ and spread the good news brought you to ministry, to full-time ministry. And Jesus says, no one who does that will fail to receive 100 times as much in this present age, the time in which you live now. For you will receive homes, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, and you are always talking about your spiritual children, of which there are many, and fields, businesses, possession, material goods, along with persecution.
Yes.
And you got the persecutions.
Yeah.
And in the age to come, eternal life.
Yeah.
In the age to come, eternal life. So he gives you an ironclad guarantee for this time in which you're living and the age to come, eternal life. So I bless you, my brother, and
Thank you
I
very
say
much.
to you that God is faithful and he will deliver. These are his words from Mark chapter 10, verse 29 to 30. You are entitled and will receive it 100 times as much as you have given up. So if you have given up much, your reward is 100 times the much. If you have given up little, it's 100 times the little. But it's all in proportion to what you give up.
Right.
So-
And thanks very much. Really appreciate that. But even as you were sharing that, I was just thinking there's somebody out there who is probably saying, Father, how am I going to deal with this situation? And I'm just reminding them, if you have placed your trust and confidence in man and he's released a word, he's spoken something to your heart, to your spirit, he's going to come true. He's not a man that he should lie, and he is a keeper of his word. Isaiah 55:11 speaks to the fact that when he releases a word, it does not return to you void. And it don't return to you void. God has spoken words in people's lives, in people's communities. Time is the time is now that God is causing for that word spoken to begin to
Manifest.
to bear fruit. And even when you release a word, a prophetic word, you have to have what we call a prophetic response. So I know there's somebody out there that God has indeed indicated something to you, said something to you in the spirit. You need to step, you need to move. Do it now. Time is now, because God is a faithful God, and He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him.
All right. Now, online, Bevan Fairweather is commenting on the weather.
She said it's winter.
Yes, perhaps she's seeing me wrapped up in this. It is cold. There is like a chill in the air. You
Yeah,
feel it, right?
it was, yeah, but
Yeah.
they said
Anyway,
we're going
she
to have it this
says,
weekend.
she said, respect, Percy.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Maximum
baby.
respect
Yes.
for Bevan.
Yes.
What about you now, Mr. Producer? What is your scripture for Pastor Percival? Think on it while we
You know, but yeah, yesterday,
while we
I
go to.
want some people are in hot seat this morning, and we're moving up to the break. But I just want to
Yes,
introduce.
okay.
We're talking about Samuel. We're talking about Samuel, First Samuel 12, after the people had rejected
The kingship
God.
of God.
Yeah, and he was feeling away.
Yeah,
but
man, he
then
felt rejected.
and he was saying, all right, he was asking the question, is that time now that you have to ask for persons to give an account for what it is, their stewardship, what it is that they have done? Because I hold very firmly in my own mind, even the fact that people say I've made sacrifices to do what, but I'm always conscious in my own mind, I have to give an account for the things that God has given to me, the giftings, the talents, the authority, the responsibility in terms of serving people. And there's a tension. Yes, I'm going to have to give an account for all the gifts that God has given to me in terms of the relationships I have with people, we give an account for every single thing. And so it is with our leaders who, as a leader in the church, delegated authority as an elder, serving as an elder, have to give an account for the lives that I have responsibility for in regards to it. And now, some things people are being called to book for in the national
On a national platform.
yeah. The time for
Yeah.
accounting has come for a lot of things.
Robert Stevenson, he's the what? Deputy chair, co-chair of the Advocates Network, says it doesn't smell good.
Smell, look, whatever.
We've seen where the Speaker of the House, none other than the Prime Minister's wife,
There's a report that has gone
was being asked when the Integrity Commission report would be tabled. The same question was put to his deputy. We saw the Speaker rather awkwardly saying, I refer to my previous ruling. Look at my previous ruling. And Mr. Clark, her deputy, could only say he didn't have an answer at this time because he dare not say otherwise. It doesn't smell good is a very, very tame commentary on something that goes to the heart of our democracy. But we are at our 7:30 break. We're going to take our break now. When we come back, we're going to look at what the next step ought to be. Because, when Pastor Percival and I declare a thing, you see it come to pass. Such is the power of God through what we're doing. Welcome back. Welcome back, Pastor Percival. Where were we in the It's All About Percy
No, it's
segment?
not. No, it's not. We moved on. I really do appreciate the good. I haven't seen Earl on Earl
No, I think it might be
too cold.
minus.
It might be too cold for
If it's
him.
cold in Jamaica this morning, I can only
Yeah, because
imagine
there's a
what the
stationary
Lord is
cold
doing
front.
in
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah, it is. No, they said it would happen today, tomorrow, over the weekend.
All right. So we were talking about Robert Stevens' rather tame comment on the Speaker of the House, or the failure to table the Integrity Commission reports. And I suspect it's more than one of them they haven't tabled it on.
Yeah, but you know what? We could go to the Integrity
Integrity
Commission
Commission's,
website,
okay.
because normally when they
All
do,
right. So the chairman of the Integrity Commission has said that he expects that reports will be tabled as soon as possible. Now, clearly, there's no working protocol where reports are tabled within 3 weeks or else something else
yeah,
happens.
the anti was not aware of any impediment to the tabling of its report. I'm reading from the
Yes.
thing. As far as the commission is concerned, when we send a report to the House of Parliament, we expect it to be tabled as soon as possible. And for us, as soon as possible means just that. As soon as possible, he said in agreement. He also questioned the thinking behind sending an investigation report to the IC Oversight Committee. I don't know what purpose that would serve, because our reports are not capable of being edited by anyone, he declared. So him just attack it as it is, Like him say, we're not fishing. It's an investigative
Okay.
report.
So let's analyze it just based on sound principles of governance, not based on the perverse situation going on in Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah? So let's assume that this report might not impugn anyone amongst the group who have to be looking at it. All right. In the ordinary course of business, a report to Parliament would be tabled based on existing agenda commitments or prior commitments. But a reasonable organization would reserve a discretion to shift the priority based on the importance of the matters being reported on.
Public interest.
Public interest. Because in all of this, the men and women who sit in Parliament and who handle public affairs are not doing it based on their private sector or special interest demands. They're doing it for the people.
You're very...
No, remember, we're not looking at it as a corrupt nation now. We're not looking at it as a country that scored 44.
For 7 years.
We're not stuck in a place where we don't respond reasonable to corruption.
We're stuck like if we're
decent
living
people of integrity
Like in Switzerland or
who
Sweden.
are in one of those countries where they've had to close prisons because they don't have no business for the prison. You sent me that was hilarious. Those prisons could probably be converted into dorms for schools because their prisons are so nice.
Yes.
Anyway, so if you look at it now, it's not Jamaica in the time of corruption. It's how we would operate under normal circumstances, yeah? Not our abnormal, which have become normal. That's why everything people look at it with such suspicion and think that there is something unusual about it, which is going to bring me to the NDA confidentiality clause situation. These are not unusual things, but in Jamaica, they have become suspicious and unusual because
they
of
don't
how
trust
we
the
have...
law. The law trust.
Absolutely,
They don't
no
trust
trust.
nobody. You don't trust nobody
No
at all.
trust. So then, the Speaker of the House, and I believe that is the advice in law, because the law don't change because you perverse, The law is the law. It's a standard. If you're to the left of it or to the right of it, you're not in keeping with the law. So the Attorney General would have advised, based on law, that the Speaker of the House, given the position and the responsibilities, would have a discretion in setting the agenda. That's why you have a speaker. So everybody don't come every day with whatever they think should be discussed and try
I'm
to
just
squeeze
trying to
it on.
You just send the agenda.
Right. The speaker sets the agenda, information is circulated in reasonable time so persons can give consideration to what is required and be prepared to have meaningful discussions, because we don't send them there to be caught off guard and to be scrambling and need statistics and need research done, but nobody has it because we only heard about this morning when we came in because somebody just slid it under the door. That's not the country we're running, and that's not the country we want to be in.
You think we're running like a party shop?
No, party shop a big business. We have to change that one.
No, this is a party shop. But it no even them.
I don't know what.
They go in and clean and do it. They them about order. So.
There's order. Okay. So the Attorney General would have told the Speaker, you have a discretion, you set your agenda, and when Justice Panton, who knows the law, says as soon as possible, possible means within the bonds of the things you have doing and what's your order of priority. He's not expecting that Integrity Commission reports have a low order of priority.
No, not with the present situation.
Not in the right, but the Speaker has discretion. So the Speaker comes out and says, the way I'm addressing it is to send it to an oversight committee. I don't know what the report contains. There's an oversight committee. They will look at it and determine what happens next. That's what she has said.
But that don't make
If
sense.
anybody want to challenge it, the place that you go and challenge things to put a check on executive power is court.
But to the law.
So to me, the moment she made that ruling
Should have
and
gone.
people felt that it was unconstitutional, go to court.
But then we'll just figure and say should come to our senses.
On what basis? Nobody has. If you're going to think that she's going to come to her senses, you must have a logical
No, illogically
belief that she would.
Yeah, but
There's nothing logical about what they're doing. It's straight abuse of power. Straight abuse of power.
and abuse of power is like that. It don't have no sense in anything. It don't have no bearing against
Precisely.
anything. Right.
So you could always go and ask the court to
Make a ruling.
make a ruling on it. And I said to you before, going to court is not about winning.
Just testing the thing.
You test. And if you're wrong in your position, you know you're wrong. And if a law need to be in place to address that situation,
To
then you
deal with
know
it.
what to do.
Yeah.
So from the time the Speaker of the House made that ruling, somebody should have been acting on it, especially an opposition that don't have numbers. You have to co-opt the number of the court.
To help
You
you.
understand? To help you. You get effective by using other voices because you know you have zero power in the House. Your voting power is nil in the House. You might as well don't come.
Because them have the
Because they can just overwhelm you by everybody showing up and voting on issues. And they try to push things to that place all the time. So you know that your most effective voice is to get a court to speak for you. And then it begins to add up. And eventually it will be like an avalanche that will crush that behavior. And it will be a precedent for Jamaica to say, no, we can't go that way again because the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court and the Constitutional Court, whatever the situation might be. Do you see? You have to have a strategy for these things. You don't want to hear no very weak, it doesn't smell good. While Juliet is toughing it out and saying, well, that report will not see the light of day until after election or until I say so. Abuse of power is a real thing. And you challenge it wherever you see it. Don't want to hear about it, doesn't smell good. All these civic-minded organizations that come into being and the only thing they can produce is a headline in the newspaper.
not good enough.
They don't put their weight and their money behind going to the place where powerful decisions can come.
And you're
Mind
saying
you,
it in the court.
go to court with it.
Go
Listen to
court
me.
And so what you're saying is And even though some of the time I go to court, and
Don't matter.
but
It teach you
that's
something.
Yeah.
Either that your judge is weak, they are pro-government, we need to change them as quickly as possible. Lawyers know better now that this judge don't, you have to be prepared to appeal and get your court of appeal in good shape. There's no point complaining about these matters
When they
if
are
you are not using
what
the
is available.
structures to challenge it.
So you use that.
You know what was frustrating for the government? I see they're calling up Carousel name again and again and again. They need to be careful.
Right.
What frustrated the government why they drew their guns on us is because we kept using the system. They tried to crush us from December 2016. They had no expectation that they would have to draw guns in February 2020.
They had no expectation.
None, because they're accustomed to just being draconian in their measures and people die. But we wouldn't die. And even now that you hear the name Carousel being repeated in the news, it's not because we are agitating for anything.
Because of
It's
what they
because
did.
suddenly now they understand that there's more than what meets the eye. So now you see the name coming up in different places, But
Why is it that? Just wondering, as you're shifting
Yeah.
to this shifting to NHD and Dexim and Carousel. I thought it was Dexim only.
You know, I'm
with
very close to Dexim, so.
You are?
Yes, because the owners of Dexim
Are your friends?
they're my friends as well. I call them friends, and they were a part of the Carousel story.
Oh, they were.
Yes. So wherever the name crops up, you see the media which fed on the thing like vultures on a dead body. You see the media constantly making the connection because there is a connection.
Okay.
Yeah. The first story that made it link and said, oh, isn't this the man that the government said can't participate in a telecoms investment? And they spoke so harshly against him that they canceled the people's expensive investment venture. The licenses for it were revoked because this man was associated with it.
What is about this man so that everybody they panic case?
And so now that's the question. What is it about him? Because if you couldn't have him be a friend to a business, but in the same time frame, you are your agency, which presumably would go through the same process of assessing people
Yeah,
with whom
because
they
the
do
gentleman,
business.
and another station, Mr. Miller was at length to point out that we go through the same thing. So
They go through the same thing. So, what is it that they found in telecoms where he was spending money, his money? What is it they found over there that was so unpalatable, but didn't matter over here, where you are awarding or you're entering into a contract that involves taxpayers' money? The two cannot be reconciled without some presumptions or some assumptions being changed. So it's either him fit and proper or he's not. Because he can be good for one over here but bad for the other.
and they have to and that came to mind in terms of this. What is an adverse trace? Does an adverse trace mean that you can't travel to certain places?
Well,
No, no, I'm asking that
Yeah.
question because I remember in recent times, and even since we've been on here, somebody never had passport, then they get it back and they get restriction on it. Is that
Right.
what caused is that an adverse trace?
well, that would be higher than an adverse trace because a trace. You did geography? What's a trace element?
Small, minute,
There you go.
Small.
Is like the odor of it.
not even odor.
Well, dear Lord, it's even smaller than that.
No, man, when
Yeah.
something trace, if you go into
It's like a ghost element.
Yeah, it is because like you look at some of the gases and it's traces of it. You have to detect it by very
sensitive
instruments.
instruments. Okay.
So what I'm saying, so if I am getting I can get a visa to go a certain place. But you get a visa, but it have certain things in it, and it's not just any ordinary
So
person.
those things that are written against it, those conditions, you wouldn't call them trace.
Those are not traces. That's a major thing. So that's why I'm understanding. So I love to have a conversation with Mr. Neil. Him name all over the place to say
I'll invite him to talk to you.
to have a conversation.
But you see, Mr. Neil was a private person when the thing was going down, and he's still a private person.
Yeah, but
He's not a man who talks a lot about these things. On the occasion that I have a conversation with him concerning it, he's quite puzzled as to how he's starring in this thing.
in turn star.
But I think he understands that it's all about the Prime Minister. And one of the things that I truly admire about him is that no matter what he has suffered at the hands of the political giants, he is not looking to be used as a battering ram by anybody.
Okay.
You understand? And I mean, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I'm not going to be your puppet to achieve some political mileage, because in our experience too, we have suffered at the hands of both.
Yeah.
That's the truth. We've suffered at the hands of both political administration, party, whatever.
entities, yeah.
Yes, because you start good with one, and when it becomes useful for them to...
When you're expendable.
When you are expendable.
And that is one of the things. That's why you must
They expend you.
No, but that is why you must always have your integrity.
Yeah.
So whatever anybody say, you say no, brethren. And that is why you have to have your moral compass.
Yeah.
That drives
well,
you
he
that
has
way.
one.
We call it.
And it's as steady as a rock.
We call it.
I do my business privately. I rise or fall by it.
So
There's nobody that I think that's gonna get Mr. Neil to come out and say, "Oh, this or that," and I don't fault him.
So what is it now? So,
but I wanted to talk about
NDA?
NDAs and confidentiality, because
Right.
I think even the way it has been addressed in government is confusing. Of course, we know that quite recently, the head of customs was using the Secrecy Act to speak harsh words about those who leaked the information concerning the air quality report. Oh, maybe it was on the weekend, we didn't talk about it. So the air quality report came out and said that
customs.
what customs,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Apparently, it was not meant to be disclosed to the public.
Why not?
Indeed, why not is a fair question, because people are going there to do business. People are working there, your family
have been
members
sick
and so
there.
on, and people have been sick there. So you would think that that is a great matter of public interest. Not only that, whatever contagion is on the place can spread elsewhere unless it's investigated and people know what it is.
You know,
Yet-
that was what happened at Cornwall Region and why they closed it.
Yeah.
It was a sick building.
Yeah.
It was a sick building.
And the same thing happened with the fraud squad. The first building where they were downtown,
Yeah.
there was an issue there and they moved people out. So that to me is a matter of great public interest. Yet the head of customs, she came out saying that they're going to be using the Secrecy Act to deal with persons who leak information because the report was leaked.
Report leak.
So understand now that the government sees great value in maintaining secrecy over information which anything that might draw attention to weaknesses or issues that really should be addressed, they regard it as secret. If that can be in their contemplation, how much more so for private sector companies doing business with government agencies where they're commercial, proprietary, confidential information can be released to the public and actually cost them money, because if competitors have access to the financial data that you use to support a bid or to confidential information, we all know that private enterprises that operate in a competitive environment.
Industrial espionage.
Absolutely. So you must have confidentiality safeguards in anything you do with another company, or especially a public sector company. Because remember, the government is not entitled to know all of your business unless it's relevant to some lawful activity in which you are engaged. If you have license for a business, you make reports to a regulator, but those reports are confidential to the narrow purpose that the regulator serves. So confidentiality in dealing with public sector entities is a requirement anywhere you go. Anywhere you go. You have to give personal information to show you're fit and proper. Is that supposed to be out there in the public domain? Clearly not. That's why we have Data Protection Act coming into force, into being now. So even for government to say public sector entities cannot enter into non-disclosure agreements is nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
And so what you're saying, we
Parliament
have to
could
be
not
careful.
have access to your private information in the ordinary course of events, they are not entitled to it simply because you entered into a contract with a government agency. You understand what I'm saying? The Prime Minister said no government agency should enter into a contract which prevents them from reporting to Parliament and sign an NDA. You follow?
No, you have to
Start
say-
again.
All right.
The Prime Minister says
He made a
no
declaration.
government agency should enter into an agreement to keep information confidential that prevents them from reporting on it to Parliament.
Okay.
Now, I'm interpreting that through the law.
Right.
If Parliament would not be privy to my proprietary confidential information in the ordinary course of business, the fact that I have entered into a contract with a government agency does not waive that duty of confidentiality.
Right. So
It's given to me by the Constitution.
right.
That's why Data Protection Act comes into being
That
now
is
to
why
say.
the throat needs early
That's
on.
why needs are, because government don't need your blood type, how much money you make, where your bank, and so on and so forth, unless there is some engagement between us on that matter. The fact that their agency is reporting that I'm in a contract with Percy and Percy has shown me so and so, it does not mean that your confidence, your entitlement to it is waived, and it cannot be waived by prime ministerial dictate. We're taking our 8 o'clock break, then we'll come back.
Voiceless 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
understand what an NDA is.
Welcome back. We are always happy to be outdoors. Free Flowing Thursday, right here at the Ligani Club. The Morning Connection hosts Minette and Percival, our producer, standing by, guiding us through the morning. And I gotta say how much we appreciate being here at the club, thanking the Ligani Club, and reminding you of the excellent amenities that are available here. Hotel rooms, and right now the dining pavilion is just about full. People staying here. The restaurant, JD's Urban Pub, you know, kudos to their catering staff, the kitchen staff, and the
And
wait staff.
wonderful, yeah. Just to talk about the food, well,
Who
you are
was talking
fasting.
about the food?
No, you are fasting. But remember last
No,
week
you
I was
talk about the
fasting.
food. Yes, so
and
this week is your turn to talk about the food.
So I took it and I carried it to give, and they say it was excellent. I do that.
Oh, you
I
took
collect
your
the meat
breakfast,
and I gave it, and they say,
right?
"Oh man,
So you don't need to just take Percy's word for it. You
need
can
to
drop
come
by
and taste it. Yeah, man,
be a
it's
part
excellent."
of what's doing here. It really is excellent. So thanks again to our Ligani Club family and to JD's Urban Pub, the wait staff, Miss Catherine, and what's the other lady's name that you
Kareen.
recently learned?
Kareen.
And Miss Kareen. Yeah,
And
good
Tina.
people.
And
And Miss
Tina, and Tina, and Tina,
Yes,
Tina
how could I
Suko.
forget Tina? Yeah,
Tina
excellent
Suko.
people. So, you know, give them your support because the Morning Connection says so. We say so.
We
Trying to get
are
Percy.
firm in the goodness and the excellent service.
Absolutely. They've earned it.
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about NDA, me with my lawyer self, explaining the usefulness of them and just making the point that it's about protecting the confidentiality of commercial proprietary information that gets disclosed in the course of negotiating contracts, whatever the contract is. It might be even be the settlement of a dispute. What I
is what it
revealed
was.
to you in the course of my negotiation, keep it confidential. Don't share it with persons who may use it and actually
But they-
cost me value.
But then if you go to a court of law, then it becomes public knowledge.
So now let's talk about that because yes, indeed, our court system is, as part of a democracy, is open to the public.
Correct.
Documents filed in court are accessible by the public unless there are orders of the court which protect them. You know, children.
Okay.
There are
so
some things which will be protected, not to keep you away from the information, but to protect the persons who are
a part
in
of
it.
what
Yes.
is happening.
Files may be sealed for a time.
You know,
and-
because that happens in terms of I know for adoption.
Yes, yes.
I know for adoption.
Absolutely. So it's mostly children.
Yeah, to protect them, yeah.
National security issues
yeah.
will attract that kind of protection. But outside of that, documents filed in court are public documents. There's a registry and you can go. There has been a trend, a development under this Chief Justice, which I think one day someone is going to make an application testing the constitutionality of how this court administration deals with access to documents. When you go, you have to fill out a form. I think you have to provide your TRN. You have to say who you are. And there seems to be a culture that the files cannot be looked at unless you are a party or you represent a party.
That means that's killing investigative journalism.
It is the death to investigative journalism unless you can bribe somebody to participate in something or you can get help. Now, they're treating it like the Access to Information Act. I went down to the court to see if probate, an application for probate had been made in the estate of someone who, you know, and they gave me a form. I think I still have the form. So aside from paying a fee, paying the fee is not the problem. You really should not pay to see the file. You should pay
To photocopy?
to copy documents.
Right.
They charge a fee for you to see the file. And that's not a part of your constitutional guaranteed right.
So we should probably ask the Chief Justice, why is it? This is a
Why are they
judicial
charging?
services.
Yes, and they collect data which has no bearing on your freedom to look at a file.
They come data protection. So if them have all of these things and somebody get a hold of it, hack into it, what they do with it? Them what they go tell you say?
Well, they are like everybody else, must have the necessary resources. I see that you get the point.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to
So
be careful.
there's a distance we go sometimes, which is wholly unnecessary. I don't know why I need to give my full name, address, and TRN to look at a document which is public. There should be portals that you could go, and even if you have to pay a fee to access certain things that to download or to take copies,
I can
don't
understand
see
that
how.
because there's a
Yeah,
cost
so
in terms
so
of doing it.
public that these are public documents is now moot. But I'm sure media houses are well resourced and can find their way into the court documents. But you are right. When a party takes a matter to court, they disclose as much as they need to demonstrate the strength of their case. And in this matter with the NHT, the court documents were already reported on in prior stories. So we know, for example, that Dexim built the houses.
There are
that-
actually houses there.
Yes, and it's on the ground, so people are doing flyovers and visits and so on.
People are doing
Good for
fly-
business. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
people
They
are
did
look-
use drones
and to look to see if any
to look
house
what's
actually
there.
there.
Right. So the houses have been built way more than what was to be delivered in phase one. Phase one was 50 houses, almost 200 houses have already been built. And out of it, the NHT should have got 50 houses. So there was more than what they could get their
So then why is it
portion
called a
from.
failed multi-billion-dollar contract?
Because a dispute arose between the parties that's been reported on.
And that's in the and that's in,
That was in the earlier stories that the Gleaner ran. And we all see what the dispute was. The houses did not conform to the contract specifications which NHT and the company signed off on. How
the
did
big small
what was the
houses, big
problem?
houses, smaller
Bigger
houses,
house,
smaller houses, bigger land.
bigger
here.
land.
So the contract. So if I don't understand. I'm getting.
And I think that's what people want to get to. And this talk about NDA
Yeah.
does not
Yeah.
aid the argument because nothing in the NDA would stop NHT from reporting to the nation, reporting to Parliament, why they would refuse bigger houses on bigger land and why they could not find a mediated price range
Okay.
so they could get the houses.
Let me ask a question, and this is a question for NHT. In terms of their protocol, how they do business. If I give you $650 million
$1
or about $100 million,
Thank
say
you very
build
much.
and build
I'm
and
fine
build
with
build houses for me.
Yes.
My thing is, if I'd have somebody on site to make sure if I am signing off on a contract and say, all right, you're gonna give me, I give you $100 million, all right? You're gonna give me such and such houses. This is what house must look like.
Right.
Me who is investing, even if me have to
Hire somebody.
but that person go check to see I only have the money.
Along the path.
I only have
yes.
the money, but I don't
Yeah.
know about real house, but I know I will get a house for 50. I'm gonna get a house that is 50 square meters. It have 2 bedroom. I'm just saying hypothetically. The man
No,
who is the
I'm sure- I'm-
the
and I
land
hope-
surveyor and
and-
the architect would I have somebody else
Yes.
look at it for me.
Absolutely. Project manager.
Yeah, just look at it and make
see
sure
what's going
it's-
on. Also, just for quality control, also, a house is being built. You're not going to wait until they show you the house all painted and zipped up before you know if they put steel in it.
No,
If-
because
if-
that's another thing. Hey, you're joking because remember those people over Portmore side, they say they NHT.
This is the Berkshire.
The
that
Berkshire,
one.
yeah, and them complaining. And
Good.
NHT just come in trying to fix it. So I'm saying something.
And I believe,
something
I
going
hope
wrong at
that
NHT.
those are the questions which the Gleaner has put to them. And if those are the kinds of questions, that don't affect no NDA because that's about you and your process.
Yeah.
An
internal,
NDA
so
seeks to protect
Somebody
the
need to go
other.
audit NHT. Well, it's not what the other side did call. Let's go and audit NHT.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
What are they
And
doing? What
hard
are they
to-
doing?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there's no need for, you don't even have to be thinking about this transaction. You could just look and say, well, over time, how many transactions have fallen into problems with
Because-
NHT and why? That has nothing to do with the confidentiality, which is conferred
So we're
to
going to
the
track
other
record. We're
parties.
looking at track
Look at
record
the track record.
over the years for
Yes.
NHC giving people money.
Yeah. What do they get in return? How
And
do they safeguard the process? You had the other development on the one, is it the Ruthven Courts? Whatever.
Oh, yeah,
The
that was
development that flooded out when rain fell.
You know what
and
they had to
people
do?
were-
And that was another problem thing because, you know, when it flooded out, them build a wall. We noticed they used
Oh,
to have
so-
access.
So it
and
won't, so
and
they'll have a
would-
pool?
no.
If you build a wall,
No,
when water
no,
go in, it
no,
will
the
come out.
gate that what because they have underground parking.
Yes.
And that is one of the things. So where most of the water was coming into, they built
They
a
built a
wall.
wall.
There's a wall there, so no
Okay.
water can come in unless it is like 10 feet high to go over. But so the entrance only is on the other side.
Okay. So that.
And then even that has its problem too.
All right. So you're raising the business of what's their protocol, what's their process
Yeah.
when they have these contracts out. How do they manage it to avoid great disappointment and surprise and controversy
I remember
when it
those-
come time to take the houses?
As if you look at Ruthven, it was supposed to be for a certain amount and it ended up being 35. And they say, well, because of what happened with COVID and building materials
Right. And
so
this
on.
contract was in the same time too, you know, if you notice from the papers that have been disclosed, this contract started 2019. So
Yeah.
you know COVID was
the-
rampant
yeah.
during that time. And so let me tell you,
There are
people,
more
you must
questions
know-
being raised
you
with
must
NHT
know
and
when
its
red
internals.
herrings-
NHT and its internals, because we have to look at that now. Yeah, because if
I noticed though that they've been careful not to make it seem as if it's about the private contractor. Just keep saying a private contractor, because somewhere in all of the mess, I think people are recognizing that it can't be about the private contractor. It must be about how the
NHT and
public
their
agency
processes.
is doing their thing. All right. So, of course, you know, one of our prior and the way we've been pushing is to bring a spotlight on these areas of public administration, governance issues, which we want to see corrected so that Jamaica could really prosper.
so that NHT can fulfill its mandate.
Well, yes, that would be a sure objective.
No, man.
And then, you know, many of our callers comment on how NHT money gets hived off to do all kinds of different things.
It has happened there.
Education,
And
the budget.
yeah, budgetary support. We had to do
So maybe in the time after they see that they're really just a bank funding other things, they drop their hand on the core mission.
I think that is what has happened to the workers.
Well, they've definitely
Some
dropped
people
their
have
hand.
called for Mr. Miller to walk away from.
Yeah.
it. But him say, I'm not getting into the politics. That was his statement. It's not politics.
But it's not politics.
It's about your efficiency and
It's not
effectiveness
politics.
in doing the
So
job.
I want to make it clear. I want to make one thing clear. In law, there is no NDA or confidentiality clause that can prevent one party from disclosing its own information.
Oh,
Let me say that again.
so if may intend to
Yes.
NDA,
Yes.
the information that is related to Percival, I can't tell anybody
Of
else.
course. How would I stop you from disclosing your own information? The confidentiality is to protect my information. Now, there's going to be some information that overlap because you might say, I paid Minute $10. And
Minute, yeah,
Minute
like
don't
it.
want anybody to know how much she was paid. So that information is as much mine as it is yours. So you can't touch that. That doesn't apply in this case. Already it is out there. The settlement agreement says NHT get back $650 million plus interest.
What NDA?
So if that is already out there, what is it that one could say a confidentiality clause would prevent them from disclosing?
So, according to a definition,
To your internet dictionary.
yeah, NDAs or non-disclosure agreements are legally enforceable contracts that create a confidential relationship between a person who has sensitive information and a person who will gain access to that information.
Right.
So it means a confidential relationship means one or both party has a duty not to share that information. But as you have said, if may intend to that, if Minute and Percy enter an NDA. You can tell people your business as much as you want.
Just don't tell them mine.
Don't tell them what I know about you.
Right.
All the things you would have told me, for instance, about
To justify
your
the result that
statistics
we
and so
come to,
on.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why also in mediation, in court-ordered mediation, the information you receive from the other party is confidential.
I know that because I've sat and signed. But
And you have to sign an agreement
So
saying
I
it
haven't
is.
sat as a mediator and me have to
Yes.
sign to say whatever them say.
Yeah.
You can't talk about anything at all.
And no prime ministerial dictate can override that confidence. The person would have to consent to you. Yeah, you can tell the prime minister, say,
But
this
you
is
know that's
why.
the same thing in a counseling relationship. When we begin that process, I have to say to them, okay, first thing, confidential, ethically. You can't tell anybody anything. The only two circumstances that I can
Breach it.
breach is if you tell me I'll kill yourself.
So you're a danger to yourself.
And secondly, if in the course of it you have injured a child or an adult or somebody with
So
disability,
like a crime then.
yeah. So,
Right. Same thing.
the outside
So different.
yeah.
Sometimes
so they know, and I said,
yeah, we
and
go on as if these things are new.
like-
They're not
So
new.
like if somebody comes with even a child and the parents, oh, they listen, we can't tell them. You have to tell me to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can't do that. I can't do that. And I'm saying, right, listen, no.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why they come and they do what it is. Yeah.
Good morning, Earl. I see you're awake and cold. Oh, Lord. So I thought I'd mention it because when you hear these things in the media, you might think, oh, my God, there's some big thing being hidden. And
No,
or you
I
may
mean-
even think that private sector people are frustrating the government agencies from doing the right thing. Not so. In this situation, information was already put before the court and it's been reported to the media. We know what the dispute was about and we know why the parties failed to agree to move forward with NHT getting the houses that it had contracted to receive. The thing we don't know is why. Why did the NHT
Motivate.
behave as it did? Not why the private contractor, no, that's nobody's business. Why did the state agency behave the way that it did?
To curtail.
Absolutely.
The houses are
And if
ready
we-
for delivery.
And if we focus on that and hold NHT to account, no issue of NDA arise at all because they're free to say what motivated them to move in a particular direction without breaching any confidentiality that covers the information given to them by the private contractor. I think I made that clear. So we can rest from our labors and take our 8:30 break.
Yeah, but yes. Take our Welcome back to the Morning Connection. So, we have explored what an NDA is, and we put it in terms that people could understand what it is about. So, it begs the question if houses were on the ground, it's not like it's not a phantom development. like a
And
thing.
there've probably been some of those.
Remember the missing housing? Mrs.
Oh,
Housing?
the missing church?
No, no,
School, sorry.
Mrs. Schools,
I know
yes.
they love talk about
Yeah,
that one.
but the fact is, there are houses on the ground. So, what would have prevented the NHD from negotiating? What's out in the public domain that it was a mediated settlement,
Yeah, the settlement came
right?
after,
And
right?
went to court on. So, why not take the houses? It's 50 houses. That's 50 houses that you can do what you need to do with it. Is it that the houses had become more expensive than what they had projected? But then if you are getting bigger houses, more land, and it
Well,
goes out saying,
the story so far, and this is in the public domain if persons are tracking it, the story so far is that the contract began just before COVID. That during the period of COVID, the kinds of delays with
building
working,
material,
building material, the whole
yeah,
thing that everybody
body.
know about,
Yeah.
were such that it said the company, the developer, triggered the termination clause. So the developer attempted to terminate. But even when someone attempts to terminate a contract and you begin to use the dispute resolution provisions in the contract to come to a consensus, there's room for you to shift your position based on what is demonstrably true. So there's been delay, and the delay can be is attributable to things which are acknowledged.
Right.
So you would quantify in a normal course of events, you would quantify the impact of the delay and shift your position, because remember, $650 million can't build 200 houses.
That's correct.
That's just like a percentage of it's. If you buy a house, you pay a deposit. The theory behind that way of contracting for NHD is that if you were buying a completed house, you would put down a 10% deposit or a 20% deposit. And the owner of the land would then be at liberty to draw from that deposit, put in the infrastructure, and start the process. But obviously, you're gonna need more money. $650 million can't build 200 houses. So the first batch of houses that you should deliver, your money from that would allow you to move on to the second batch, and you would get another prepayment
Okay.
based
Hold
on. So they had their system worked out, whatever it was.
So all right, let us do some maths based
wanna
on
do
what is
some
in the public domain. So it's 650 million divided by 12.
While you're doing your math, let me say hi to Earl and to your sister Cheryl. Good morning, Cheryl. Are you gonna weigh in on the pre-birthday birthday blessings
Greetings.
for your little brother?
Yes,
Yes.
she's my older sister.
Yeah, so we're doing that. We're taking greetings for Percy today because we're not on air tomorrow. So if you want to bless Percy with a prophetic word to Earl and to Miss Cheryl,
So
this is a good time.
So $650 million. It was 12 million they were supposed to deliver the houses for in the first
12.5.
12.9. That would be 54 houses.
So if you put the 12.5,
Yeah, it is. So
you would see. Okay.
52 houses.
All right. So the first batch to be delivered was 50 houses.
Right, and the 50 houses are down there.
50 houses were built, rejected because they're too big. Not a complaint you would expect, because
I mean, they're too
contributors,
big.
the agreement said that they'd like it should be like 830 square feet or something like that, and they ended up at 1,000 square feet.
Okay. So you get
Because
a big
of
house.
changes that were made along the way and building on the land and how you anyway, whatever the situation might be, the court papers say the houses did not conform to NHD specifications because they were oversized, not undersized. And I think that's what some people are saying. How could you refuse
A bigger
bigger
house.
houses? We would have loved the bigger house. And a confidentiality clause has nothing
To do.
to do with your speaking on why you felt that bigger houses constituted a breach and not a blessing. You understand?
It gets more weird.
There you go. Okay. And the other no would be, so the contractor says, it cost me more to build them, so 12.5 with what has happened with COVID and blah, blah, blah.
And remember building costs. That's why the Ruthven Towers, which you use, Ruthven Towers,
Yeah.
that there was a
As
big
a comparison.
Yeah.
And they were out there justifying why it went up and they had to pay the contractor more and so on and so forth. So it's very
What?
unfair
Oh,
for the
geez.
parliamentary opposition to call it a sweetheart deal. Sweetheart to whom?
So is it that they have not looked in it, or they just using
They're
words
just using it for
word?
politics.
Oh, so they have to be careful.
That's
too.
why I agree that
You have to be careful.
private sector companies, when things are going down and the government is being held to account, keep quiet. What they say, cockroach, no business in
And
a
the pole
fight.
fight.
When they are dukesing it out, you keep quiet. Never goes well for you. At some point, you become the mutual punching bag. So those who can speak on it, you speak on it in righteousness and for fairness sake. So if
So-
the NHT were to
so it's-
explain
so
themselves
it's
concerning the
NHT
rejection of
rejection.
the houses,
That's why somebody calling for the resignation of
of
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, because it sounds fool.
Yeah.
Earl, to you, Percy's birthday is tomorrow. Earl said whose birthday? Percy's birthday.
No, well, that's
And
it.
then they describe the opposition shadow person as an attorney at law. Not described. She is an attorney at law, so it is stated. I don't know her personally. But with the specialized knowledge of law that she has, she should be representing the issues more fairly. She's right that the government should say why it has settled. Now, saying why you have settled is a different thing from defending the settlement. I settled because the issues could not be resolved satisfactorily with the contractor and we could not force them to continue. An attorney knows that if parties are in dispute and one might want to move forward and the other does not, you must have a settlement or a court order. Does that make sense, Percival? I see you.
Yeah,
Reading.
reading. She wants to.
She says the government has a
direct-
responsibility to say to us, to inform the public, what is it that the Prime Minister knew about the settlement? Okay, that's her interest. The terms and conditions. When is it that the Prime Minister knew about the terms and conditions of the settlement? I don't think the public is really interested in that, in all fairness. The Prime Minister has a board in place at the NHT. He should know whether the board approved it or it is some rogue thing. And he can speak on it without breaching any confidentiality requirements that the parties to the settlement may have. But we don't really want to know when did the Prime Minister find out about it, because he's not the chairman of the board.
Who's the chairman of NHT?
I don't know.
But you see, but remember, you know.
What we want to know is why a dispute arose under those circumstances that could not be resolved by the NHT finding a way to get the house for the people. That's what we want to know.
Because when you said the Prime Minister,
When he knew about it,
you,
yeah.
you have been involved in government. You have
Yes.
You know that some of the time you give people good advice and
They don't take it.
and
Yes.
you ask yourself, what is their motivation? Because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Looking on the face of it, it makes sense. So the question is, remember the NHT board are political appointments outside of the unions and staff representatives and so on. And NHT has for a very long time been in the office of the Prime
Of
Minister.
the Prime Minister,
because
right.
it has
So-
been used as a political
yeah.
thing. Like I benefited from it. Because when they determined that they were moving the limit to those under PJ, because them
Yes.
figures say it makes sense.
Right.
Right. But he must, whether we like it or not, those major things, like we must talk and say, report what is happening.
Absolutely.
So
But, when he knew about it is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Why it went the way it did is
No,
what
that
we want to
isn't to know.
know.
Why did you
Why?
decide to do
Yes.
that? Yeah. Why would you
And
decide?
and the board being bound to keep the private contractors' information confidential,
Just tell
don't
us.
stop the
Chairman.
chairman of the board from saying, well, PM, we couldn't take those houses because,
Yeah, that's all you need to say. That's your information.
yeah,
Not the Mr. Dexim information.
right, that's your information.
Yeah.
If it is that you're saying the man wanted too much for them,
Just say that.
you can say that.
But what is your motivation?
And that's, see, when we mistake the obligation to manage our business with integrity for some desire to just get scandal, we will always be in this place
You see?
of bickering over who knew what when. No, I want to know why. Why did it go that way?
Integrity, because your motivation is in the right place. So
You'll find
these are
a
my
way to-
principles. These are my
Yes.
principles. So if your principles right, there's somebody that I work, different people, and he says, trying to make him say, what is the principle here? So if it is based on principle, then you're good. You can't
man.
fly anywhere. And that's something I give to people all the time. You know,
Because the
make-
principle
it
will produce a just result.
all
If
the
it's
time.
a good principle,
Yeah.
it produces a just result. That's it.
So the principle. What is
So
the
you're in the business of procuring houses for your contributors.
Yes.
Houses are built.
Right.
How you end up with no house?
I only
How?
get back the money. So
We
you
know
defeat
it can't be because the price was wrong. Because we saw them go to bat for the Ruth Venn
Yeah, man.
contractor
And
who
I-
said the cost of my money went up.
right? And
It took a long time to get certain goods and the prices went up for the goods.
Right.
So I can't release these houses for less than X. So why not
the same
do
thing.
the same in this situation?
I want
and
to tell you why.
Justify
I want to tell you
why you
Me
decided
can't tell
to
you
take
on
back
radio
money.
Why. Me can't tell you why. Me
I
know
think
why.
that's what people want to
Me
know.
know
though,
why.
Percy.
Me why. It could be those who involved.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
You're talking about my vision.
Yeah, it's who involved. It's who
I had a vision. I saw a dead body. Truth, it don't even matter if it's the carcass of an animal or a human being. I just saw a dead body and life teeming all over it. And I came out of it saying, oh my God, the presence of life and movement around a dead body does not mean the thing is alive. There is a whole economy that comes into existence and is fueled
when something dead.
when something dies. Whether it's a
sure.
contract, a body, an idea. There's a whole set of
business.
things that happen.
But it's true when you think about when you have a funeral,
Yes. There's a whole economy around
there's
it.
a whole economy around funerals.
Yeah.
There is a
The funeral
that-
home
no.
that do the coffin and the services. The
There's a
music
night-night.
band that come out every
the
night in the
night.
night.
There's the food,
The food, the vendors who
Right.
surround the place and
the
sell.
wreath, the program, is
Flowers,
and
everything.
Yes.
That it spawns
So we can't stay there.
downstream. So death is big business. The death of a contract is big business. Some people are looking at it and saying, oh, the contractor is going to make all this money because now he can sell the houses at the real value. And so he has profited because I see someone saying, at their press conference, they said, they describe it as a sweetheart deal, and they speak about like a private sector entity is going to be making money off this project and the contributors will not have their homes. But in order for you to make money, you have to spend money. That's one. And the homes would have been in the hands of the contributors if the NHT had stayed the course and found its way to safe harbor. So I believe that what people want to know is why not? Why did the NHT allow it to go the way it did? They were the ones who sued.
Yeah, 'cause that don't make no sense.
They were the ones who sued.
And
It's not the contractor sued to get out of it. NHT was the one who pack it and so that is something to chew on, but we're not going to spend the whole day on it because it's still Percy's birthday. Earl Brown says, God makes the best people thoughtful in their ways, helpful in their deeds, understanding and loving at heart. Happy birthday, Pastor Percy, when it comes.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Earl.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm taking mine home.
Sorry.
Oh, that looks like star apple.
It is star apple.
For the star.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Catherine, you have outdone yourself. Lowell, I hope you've packed ours to go. Yes, you've told her. You've told her. All right,
Oh,
so
wow.
Pastor Percival is being celebrated this morning. We can't join you in the victuals.
Hush.
So you're bickling alone.
But
You have more to say on it.
it's just so unfortunate. You know, I understand why God says it doesn't look at the externals,
Looks
it
at
judges the heart.
Yeah.
But out of your heart proceed all the issues of life. So you have to guard your heart to make sure that your heart, your motivation for what you do, when you do it, why you do it is important. And I think what has now caught up with a lot of people in this country, their motivation, their heart, them a bad heart.
Bad, yeah, I said
Bad heart, bad
bad
mind.
mind. Yeah, I found the thing that that troubled me. My beautiful-hearted Senator Floyd Morris described it as a plundering of the funds. I did not like that.
Oh,
How can you say the fund was plundered? That's not righteous. That's not righteous. People enter into a contract with good faith in the days when things were obviously made sense and very hopeful. The area, if you go to that area of land and see, it's a beautiful place. I'm sure NHT would have been happy to put their contributors there. It started with goodwill. So for the senator to call it a sweetheart deal, we believe that what has taken place in this sweetheart deal constitutes a breach of transparency. They're talking about the settlement, they're not talking about the contract. That the settlement is a sweetheart deal. How is it a sweetheart deal for the NHT to get back the money that it put out with interest?
I get back the money with interest.
Yeah. How is that a sweetheart deal? You sue for something and you get back the money you put out.
My sweetheart deal from Mr. Dexter.
That's what is being suggested. That it's a sweetheart deal for somebody, but for whom?
But the question is, what I'm picking up using with the political system.
Yes, man.
And we need to be careful because we need to change discourse. So
We need
use
to
all of these
elevate it.
words that are very emotive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well said, birthday boy.
As emotive too.
No, that's true. Yeah. We believe that what has taken place in the sweetheart deal constitutes a breach of transparency. How is it a breach of transparency? You're negotiating a settlement in the course of litigation. It don't get more public than that. Accountability. Accountability to whom? And good governance. So their lawsuit is filed and the parties decide sensibly, rather than spend time in court for the next 6 years,
Let's
let's settle it. How is that poor governance? Good governance is for you to come to a reasonable conclusion as quickly as possible, and then the only issue is reporting it. And it wasn't a secret. It's in the courts.
It was in the newspaper.
And it was in the newspapers. And the newspaper even had what they said was a 5-page settlement agreement.
So if them get that,
So if you get what is missing. He said the agreement between the two parties and what followed amounted to a plundering of the NHT funds and should not go unpunished. How is it a plundering, Senator Morris?
No, not plundering.
I have a higher expectation of fairness from the senator. How is it a plundering? Plundering is stealing, you know. Who has stolen from the fund?
Nobody.
The fund enter into a contract, put out money, and is getting it back. How is that
You're
plundering?
getting it back with interest, right?
Yes.
Tell them.
So you're right, Percy. It is the kind of nonsense talk that is frequently used when politics is running the day.
And we have to move beyond that.
And we
now.
have to move beyond that. Because it would seem to me that if somehow they got the prime minister to be embarrassed and totally scandalized in the process, the opposition would walk away from it. They would not push to see what would cause a state agency to walk away from a deal where there are houses to be had and you are in dialogue with the developer, but you go to court.
So the question is, so the spotlight will go back to NHD.
It's back to
here.
and they should keep it on NHD and NHD's process. They make a passing comment about NHD should disclose whether it has similar issues with any other developer. But that is not something that you just mentioned in a press conference. Go do your work and find out.
Yeah. Kind of lazy. Because if you can't, it's there now.
Do your work and find out because, and you know, even I could talk about Ruth Vencourt because it came out. Why are the houses so expensive? Because the contractor needed more money based on what it cost to build the houses.
So the question that even as they talk about
And they were
NHD,
able to conclude and move on with Ruth Van.
right, but
Why not this one?
that is the other question. And you know what somebody told me about houses that era? Somebody called me and said, I bought a house that side for 17 million 6 months ago. It's now 35 million.
Oh, yes, had mentioned that the appreciation in the real estate is phenomenal.
Over that side, over Discovery Bay, that side, the North Coast. I mean, say, well, if NHE get that, then nobody else said, some people are buying those houses like hot bread now.
Yes, they are. So all this press is good for the development.
And people go, because you say not people are doing drones to check to see if houses are really there.
Yeah.
How the house them there? It's unfortunate.
And more to be built. Because the other thing too, you know, is that area was slated for a larger development than what NHD had contracted to receive. So it's more than 200 houses. It wasn't a project to build 200 houses for NHD. It's a project to build houses from which NHD could get 200.
Yeah. So, but the fact that the man had the land, say you want some of them, all right, give me 200 of those. So I'm going to build probably 1,000 houses or 300-400 houses.
Yeah.
Wow. We talk.
You want one? It's your birthday now. Ask for anything.
Oh, yes, true. Yes. Can I get one? That'd be so cool.
Lord.
That'd be so cool. But.
And then the lawyer make a comment too that is just unworthy.
Which are the lawyer?
Miss Jess, the political lady, she argued that the mediation took place in June 2023 and the settlement agreement was signed in November. So it took them some time to do the negotiating of the draft or whatever because lawyers are involved. She should talk to the lawyers about that. Why did it take so long for you to finalize something?
So she's spotlining NHD again.
Yeah. No, but let's be fair. It may take you 3 weeks to get a first draft from the attorney. And,
and so long it take?
Please.
No,
and it's summer. It's summer, you know. So people are going on holidays. So you may not have got a draft from the attorneys before July. Before July. So one side put forward a draft. It goes to, and the lead would usually be the NHD, the one who sued, because it's your action you're trying to. So you would draft the settlement, you send it out. It take you 3 weeks. The other side take 3 weeks because they're not gonna make it look like they are doing less work than the first side. So you're 6 weeks now. You're gone into August, end of August, and this is summer.
Yeah,
by the time the boards approve it and so on, November is not an unreasonable time.
No, but what I'm saying is we have to be so clear. Oh, clear?
The producer is trying to put us on break. All right, we're on break.
When them say on break, you've got to.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome back. Are we in the final stretch? No, not quite yet. Final hour. But we've been talking quite a bit on the excitement of NDAs and accountability issues concerning the doings of government agencies. And I wanted to make it absolutely clear that an NDA does not stop you from speaking on your own behalf, the information that is owned by you, the things which motivate you to do whatever it is that you do. Confidentiality owed to another person doesn't stop you from speaking about yourself. And I think the questions which the public wants answers to, those questions are not about what the private contractor did or did not do. It's about what NHT did or did not do.
Okay. I'm just checking up on the news item. The Prime Minister, when he launched, is NHT talking about?
Yes.
This is in
Woodland Towers.
Yeah, this is November 10, 2022. Next Woodland Towers to cost
under $12 million.
But so
how could he say that and hold? Would he want to be held to that when prices move and things are happening unless it's $12 million US
no,
dollars?
Because he was saying that, okay, this is a guaranteed purchase which he was launching at Howard Apartments
when was
November
that?
9, November 9, 2022. And he was saying that this is a thing, 248 studio apartments built at a cost of $2.4 million, but it is under the with Century Real Estate Company under the Energy Guaranteed Purchase Program, which is the same
The
thing like
same
anything.
program,
So,
right?
so it's out there, and we have this one. Where is Howard Apartments? I don't know where that is, but it is, and they'll be completed this year, October 2024. I wonder where they
So
are.
something to watch.
And then he's also, remember, he's down Melcalf Street. Like, but the question is, all right. The reality is, you need the houses. The question that we must ask ourselves with this grand pool of funds at NHT: what is the cost to build a house with escalation and so on, which is reasonable?
Yes.
Because the low cost housing, what is that really?
Low cost housing.
Yeah, what is that really? What is a low cost house in Jamaica? 6, 8, 10, how much? What are we talking about?
Well,
Can the incorporated master builders, whoever it is, come to say, okay, this is the cost of building a
but
house.
we do know what the cost per square foot is. So you can calculate with a reasonable degree of accuracy what it costs to build a house based on prevailing prices. So at one point,
So we need
it
to
was
know
like
that.
$6,000 per square foot.
Yeah.
Or it may be, you know what it is per square foot to build a house. But real estate isn't priced based on just construction costs.
No, all right,
The cost of the land
and,
comes into it,
yeah, but government
and
have-
the location.
Right, so we're looking at it and saying, all right, taking all of those things, if you build a house there, in HD, this is what going to cost. So they need to know what it is. They must have it somewhere, because this thing where we keep talking about low cost housing,
Low cost.
is it really low cost housing? Do you expect the house to escalate
What
in
would
price?
make a house
Low cost.
truly low cost is where the landowner, developer, accepts just a reasonable return
Rate
on
of
the investment
yeah.
in the house. So if it costs you $6 million to build a house, you're prepared to sell it for 10. You make $4 million. But that same house that it costs you 6 to build, somebody else may sell it for 20
Somewhere
based
on
on
the location.
the location and what houses of a similar kind are being sold for at the point you're selling.
Right.
So
So
low cost focuses on reasonable return on what you spend to build it, and the price of houses depend on demand and supply.
Because, okay, I remember, and this was a conversation. So West Indies home contractor that has done phenomenal thing. They did Mona, they developed a house in Greater Portmore, over in Spanish Town and some city. They were who built that scheme and so on. They worked out a modus of operation that they could build a whole heap of houses for reasonable cost, middle class, low cost housing. But what I'm looking at today now, what as Jamaica are we gonna do to really, in a serious way, with this NHA have a whole heap of money sitting down there, you know?
Well, do they? The rate at which government takes from it to do other things.
Even with that. Because if you have force, you have to pay NHT.
Yes, but depending on employment rate and how people are paying, it may be a dwindling fund.
No,
Because
man,
there
that
are
is-
some times when they have cash flow situations.
And I can't imagine that. But anyway, I'm really trying to say now that we don't get into this constant cascas over should NHT be doing this and that. Can we agree that the trust will only deal with housing? Stop.
Well, the trust finances housing because they don't build. They're not a contractor.
Right. But they
And
contract
nobody has
people
heard
to-
anything from HAJ in a while. The
No, but
housing
HAJ
agency,
build house
they,
though,
they
you know.
build.
Yeah, man, they might
Right.
build, yeah.
So,
I can't understand why
So-
you have HAJ and have NHT. Anyway.
no, because one is money. One will finance and another will have construction expertise and will build.
That's what HAJ do?
HAJ builds houses.
Okay. Where they get the money from? Jamaica Mortgage Bank? Because they were facing that out too, you know.
Or other people come with proposals to, because NHT is not the only one that funds construction. NHT should focus on funding construction for the people who their best chance to get a house is from NHT and the interest rate that you pay because they're really
0
using
to 4%.
people's money. They're
0 to
using your money to finance building your house, and they should be very prudent with it. But they can do so under different structures where they contract with persons who come with land and financing, and they partner with them to the extent that is agreed because they are the ones who are going to buy the houses from you. So they're like a guaranteed market for your house. You don't have to be going to the market to sell your homes. You don't even have to contend with paying, real estate commissions and so on to sell your home because the appetite on their side is enough to take whatever you can build in their sweet spot.
Yeah, well,
So they should be focusing on just funding those kind of houses. Other ancient, remember they were trying to force the NHT to commit that it would stay out of the high-end housing market because that end of the market is already, we would have said then, well-resourced. And even housing agency can do those houses and meet the demand at that level. But NHT should focus on putting keys in the hands of people who, but for NHT,
would not have home.
would not have homes. So that's why I just say low cost. Because though the area may be good and up and coming and on the open market, the houses are trading at way higher values, NHT should not be following that. They should be negotiating with people.
Which is your root rental has ended up.
Right. But I mean, listen, with vision and better management, you should be getting a lot more out of NHT.
Because even we recently did this thing with the banks and the money and the and people were complaining and say,
you're just leaving us now for the banks to raid us.
To raid us. Remember the guy was saying that them going, I want to pay for it. And them said, no man, you'll extend it.
So they could collect more in the long run. But it's not that it's wrong for NHT to partner with other financial institutions to make it, just that you have to do the stipulations that make it still very attractive for the contributors. I don't like when things become overly political because nobody wins. The citizens don't ever win.
We get caught in the crossfire. We get killed in the crossfire.
Absolutely. Collateral damage.
Which is what has happened to a lot of us.
That happened to the carousel thing. It became political. It became one of the ways to shame one administration by the other.
I'm not thinking about what it
Never
could do.
thinking about national interest.
And other people just do other thing and just feed the frenzy.
Right. And the media is good at that.
Feeding the frenzy.
Just feed the frenzy. That's why we were speaking about the kind of economy that death fuels. It's real. When a thing dies, even a business, there's a lot that goes on. Lawyers make money. It's like business. Do you remember bankruptcy and receivership and those things is a big source of business. Lawyers and the court system get very active when something is in problems and is about to die. And after it dies, even just picking over the assets and selling and breaking down is a lot of business. And sometimes that's where you need to look. Who profits from the failure? And if I were the journalists who are talking it up over this, I would turn my eye to see who profits when these things fail. Because for an agency to have a certain number of failures on its hand, it should tell you that somewhere in the organization, somebody thinks that the failure is a success. Somebody's profiting.
No, but I hear you 100%. But I just want to this thing about what really taking all the factors is what you would consider low cost housing in Jamaica. What is it really? I remember working with somebody on a project. I told you, and I was saying, how much cost to build a house? I'm saying if it's NHT, is that. If it's private, is that. Like you said, 6,000 square feet. NHT, because they do it in volumes or scale.
Yeah.
Scales of volume. And him said, but when you're building just one house, it go up because it is, if NHC doing it, because them doing a whole heap, versus if you building one, then it move like from 6,000 to 9,000 per square feet. For argument's sake, I'm not
Yes.
saying
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
are the real
Yes, because
figures.
it would, the infrastructure, the cost to put in sewage
John
and
Road
roads
and
and
electricity.
electricity and
It's not
water
standard, but
supply.
all dependent on the area. Because if it's rocky, you have to dig off versus
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So it's too,
right.
but even,
And it depends on how close you are to existing built environment. Because if you have to pick up sewage from way 2 miles down to
because,
extend it to your development, and these are common costs that would be spread across a number of houses. So you're right. The cost of putting in the infrastructure will be reduced the more houses you're putting in. If you're putting in 200 houses, it may be just random numbers, it may be 500,000 per house. If you're putting in 1,000 houses, it becomes 250.
yeah, because, which
And
is what happened with
so the cost per
Port or
unit
Greater Portmore, those
can,
things. Yeah.
yes.
The
But
economies of
all of
scale.
those things, the planning authorities, because you're doing this in league with the planning authorities, who will tell you how much capacity you need to put in as they themselves also project further growth in the area. And then at some point later on, you can share some of that cost with the new developments that come on stream. And these are
Along the
things
way.
that well
That's what
within
vision does for you.
NHTs.
Because
Vision.
when you have planned development, what you're doing, where you're going, and you say, okay, we have tabled for the next 10, 30 years in this area, we're going to be doing this amount of houses. We have set the building orders, the planning orders, the building orders in place. So like in a parish council know, say, okay, all of this area is set aside for housing. You can't go beyond there because this is arable land. You're not getting that. We're not giving any more approval for you to build land there. So even if you build a house there, so even if a field land, you know you can't build a house there because where you are, it is farmland. So you have those kind of plans in place and it's available. So that's why you have planning authorities that you can plan and tell people, all right, we want 100 houses. If you come in and do houses in that area, this is what will happen. These are the incentives that we give to you. And so you have planned and orderly development.
Yeah.
And NHT should be a part of that. Because and the land agent should be a part of that. Cause you know, say, this is where we're doing, but we just do anything. A man say, all right, let's build it in housing, which is one of the fears in terms of the lands, Kiwana's lands, the Bernard Lodge lands, what is happening there, what is happening at Inwood when one person gets how much 1,000 acres for farming, and somebody said, them just a wait, man. Them just a wait, man. You soon see them put house on the land.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those
So
things.
you're going back to vision.
Yeah, man.
And so the questions that I would imagine that both the political ones and the media would ask would be questions that probe what is the vision, what's the execution methodology, what is the level of oversight, not when the thing dies, but after you've given birth and you're nurturing it, because nobody enters into a contract in order to fail. You enter into contracts to build wealth and to create value for both sides.
Okay.
So when it fails, the question you want to ask shouldn't be centered on how did it die and who killed it. You should be looking at what did you do along the way to support it and to make it successful, because that's where you're going to find the problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to find the problem in how did it die. I mean, you know, we're not all attending the post-mortem.
Yeah.
It's already confirmed that it dead because the people settle and are moving on. And you wanting to know how this came about should be asking the right questions and not be distracted by the overwhelming need to create a political scandal.
Yeah.
We're tired of political scandal.
We
May I
want some
just say so?
we really want change. And you see, you know why political scandals happen and continent happen? Because people go in with wrong motivation, the wrong heart, bad heart. And
yeah.
and as a result, if you can't get a good tree if the seed is not good. And which is what was happening. Oh, here it was. So when Ruthven Towers Phase 1 earned the government significant backlash when it was revealed that the apartments constructed through the NHT were priced around $40 million, despite the trust's primary goal provide access to affordable housing.
Okay, good.
So if
So
those...
you found your own answer.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, if it's a 12 and they say, okay, costs have gone up at 18, but I still take it.
Yeah.
And 18,
At 18 is
and
still
the
a good
houses are
deal.
there, take it. So again, we go back
So the
to
question is, why couldn't they have found a middle ground?
to say?
And the information is already out there that the developer was saying, give me a top up on the price, we can make a deal.
Yeah.
Information is there. So even for them to be distracted by this talk about confidentiality is just smoke
Why,
and
listen,
mirrors.
Them goodie.
Yeah.
Let's go to I want to.
You want to understand how
Yeah.
can recruitment be sexy?
Yeah, beyond that,
You want to be recruited?
I'm sexy, you know. I have my own sexual appeal. So don't go there, girl. I don't do that.
So let us hear why Pastor Percival has declared that he has his own sexual appeal.
Oh, no, not sexy.
Human capital stakeholders were being urged by none other than Senator Dr. Dana Morris
To
Dixon
make recruitment more
to
sexy.
make recruitment more sexy.
Or
What
work.
does she mean?
I'd make the people that make the work more sexy.
No, recruitment, she said, must be more sexy.
Oh, Jesus.
That sounds like more PR
Than anything
than
else.
anything else because it's not about the work. Though she does say something, Percival, that I want to put to you.
Which is what?
Um,
AI?
She was speaking on the occasion of some technology company that facilitates a
Site.
platform for people to find work and post work and whatever.
I need to go check them, see me find it. And
Yeah.
go on it.
So she was speaking on that occasion. Icon Work, it named. She says that the old environment, the old school way of setting up, I guess, work recruitment, she doesn't exactly say what she's talking about there. She says the older generation should seek to align with the new cutting edge technology such as the Icon Work platform. Now, mind you, this is just a platform that handles recruitment and solicitation of work or employees. And she said the old environment would be placing an ad in the newspaper, using recruitment agencies to headhunt. That whole environment.
Don't work again.
Creating your CV and sending it out to a whole lot of people, dropping off letters here and there and waiting
don't
on them
work
to
out.
call you back.
Yeah.
She said that way of doing things doesn't really work for young people.
It doesn't?
No, so she said. We have to be able to understand that. We have to teach different. So she switches now and she's talking about the education menu. We have to teach different. Everything is very different. We also have to make it more sexy for our young people. Well, if I see anybody trying to sexy up recruitment for my son, we will have a problem.
No sexy up work? Makes sense. Or sex work.
I don't know what that means. It's just one of those things that you do not expect a minister to say. And you certainly don't expect the Gleaner to have it in their headline. Make
sexy
recruitment
affair.
more sexy for young people. Young people who you need to speak truth and stability to. You
Let them
want to
understand
razzle
that
dazzle them with sexiness. Anyway, the youth don't want to enjoy some of the traditional areas. Now she's talking about job offerings. Please don't say anybody that you're looking for a office admin or a typist or a stenographer. That's a job that's gone out of style.
It's called office administrator.
You really shouldn't even need a court reporter, to be honest.
Oh, boy.
Because the judges and everybody who speak in court should be just like how you have Siri and all kind of people just catching every word you say. Just by having a phone in your environment, every word spoken can be recorded. Why do we need people with that cute machine tapping away in court?
Yeah, because now we have the voice record, although some of the time.
You just voice record.
But you know it's funny, some of the time people listening to us because they haven't become acclimatized to our way of saying words. Did I talk Chinese? It looks that way. What is that translation? Yeah,
But you see, there's work to be done in creating software that understand both our accent and
Pronunciation.
yeah.
Well, it's an
But
interesting side.
absent that, this is what I was saying, that court reporters and stenographers, that's a dying trade. So she said young people don't want to come and get those old jobs.
We understand that,
Right.
and they don't.
So she says, at heart. Now, this take me back to the old chestnut you and I keep knocking about. Why is Hart in the Prime Minister's office?
Why is it not at the Ministry
Why
of Education and
isn't
Youth?
it? Yes, because the Prime Minister is chopping up education and moving it into a different place, piece by piece. So anyway, Hart is there, and this Senator Dana Morris Dixon seems to be the one.
She's in his office too.
She's in his office too, so she's right where the heart is. She says at Heart, they are now teaching some new things, and these do sound sexy. Let me
Yes.
give you an idea. They're doing gastronomy technology. Forget cooking or food and nutrition. We are now
Gastronomy.
teaching gastronomy technology.
What is
now,
that?
It is very sexy for sure. So please do not say you are advertising for a chef or a cook.
A gastronomy technology.
Please, you want a gastronomist or a gastronomy technology. But there's a lot of science behind food, as you know.
Yes, of
food
course.
preparation, the development of flavors. You see, when we're talking about trace, I was watching a documentary on one of the Microsoft billionaires is a gastronomist I think as a hobby. So he has funded a science lab to develop food flavors and to isolate flavors versus that to lab. So when you have money, dog bite cheese. Something. But it's a big deal because think of it. You're going to space and you want to have lobster for dinner.
You just put out the pill.
Oh, please. All you need is to smell the lobster, taste the lobster,
And then the pill.
in a pill. And you spend a good 20 minutes just being, entranced by the flavors of lobster. So I actually watched this documentary in which they were using some kind of centrifugal machine to separate the flavors from the food, take out the water so you could get the flavor of pizza, the flavor of fish, whatever flavor you want. It is isolated and you can put it on something. And if you put it in a bit of water and drink it, you taste that flavor. Time to take the break.
No,
Because
they-
Hart is teaching gastronomy technology.
Wait.
Oh, good morning, and welcome back.
back.
Oh, Lord. I think,
9:34 as
yeah,
we have
this
explored.
final stretch. This is
Final
truly the
stretch.
final stretch.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the sexy subjects now being taught through heart, and gastronomy technology is one of them.
What is
Even in very advanced countries, that is still a backroom science. Not meaning it is something arcane and mysterious, but it's not at the point yet where you could say this is truly
She's
a
talking
no
about teaching them
idea.
cooking or the technology. What is she referring to?
I hope that she's not doing what so many people do and
Yeah.
just use fancy words to make an old thing look interesting.
Oh, Lord.
But I do not believe that Hart has invested in a gastronomy lab. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. They would be showing off about it. I mean, look at what's happening. National Bakery is about to put in their own
$6.5
high-tech.
billion.
Yes, and they're talking it up as if it's a public access facility. All they're doing, is telling us that bread going to cost a whole lot more.
More. Okay,
This
you
is
take that
high
and
science.
interpret it that way. They said
You're spending all that money to make-
$6.5 billion
Yeah.
to set up a
What?
robotics. Say robots that are
So,
packing the
yeah.
bread and do the thing. That should be
Well, a
interesting.
part of it, Jamaicans might say they don't want no
No AI bread.
machine bread, AI
No AI
bread,
bread.
because we're kind of weird that way.
Oh,
You want to
God.
know that hands were actually
They
involved.
in making the
Yeah.
bread. Oh,
Although I
no.
made a comment the other day, I was saying something to, so my son likes cheese patty.
Mm-hmm.
And cheese patty is like buying out the wheel of a car these days.
It
I mean,
is.
the price just like is like maybe $120 more or something like that for a cheese patty. You know that?
No,
I mean,
no,
patty
no,
prices
no,
have
no,
gone up
no.
generally.
Yeah.
But
'cause just to
say
comment
you want
it,
a piece of
could
cheese
give
in it.
You could have given your child $500 and they could have had a patty with a cocoa bread with a drink. That don't happen no more.
Yeah.
The patty
Yeah.
is like $280.
Right. And
Drink
if you
it.
want cheese patty,
the-
it's like another $100 or
$100,
something.
yeah.
Whatever the case might be. So
Crazy.
he asked me something about cheese patties. And of course,
Tell him I agree.
there's cheese and there's cheese. The quality of the cheese is important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're putting no high quality cheese in that patty because it's like sometimes it's like it don't melt.
Not cheese. It's too processed.
Some apocalyptic type. Hardly a gastronomic experience.
Oh, my Lord.
So I said to Daniel, you can open the patty and put cheese in it.
Yeah.
And
When
I
you buy-
remember that back in the day, the first place I had cheese patty was in New York.
That's what they do.
My friends there would just open the patty and put a slice of American cheese in it.
And put in microwave.
And put it in the microwave or in the toaster oven.
And it melts.
And hey presto, you have to. By the way, that's cheese patty for
Yeah.
those who are spending a lot of money to get a little slice of cheese.
in your
That the slice of
And the
cheese by
children love
itself
it,
might cost 20 cents or $20.
yeah.
But when you buy it from the store,
You pay
you pay $120 more for it. Whatever the case might be, I'm telling my son that you can open. He says, I didn't know you could open a patty. So I said, yes, you can open the patty. Now, I didn't do gastronomy. I did food and nutrition at St. Hilda's. And we had to do short crust pastry.
That's what you show.
So you use the fork
and
to press the edges
together. Yes, I know that. Yeah.
Ay, you see, Mr. Irmino saying to Daniel, do you see where they use the fork to press the edges together?
Yeah.
You can just pry it open. Lowell said to me, use the fork?
Yeah.
Nobody use fork. Can you imagine people using the fork to make 1,000 patties?
No one is a special machine.
Instead, there's a machine that does it, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But because I learned to do it,
Because you, had to do, you were
in
making
the
a
home,
little patty.
my little patty
Yeah.
or plantain tart
Tart or
was what we
whatever.
did. But so the
Did it?
use of
You did. Why you not good, man?
yeah, I did it. I didn't learn to cook at home. I actually did food and nutrition.
You
Third,
enjoyed it.
I loved it. To this day, cooking is still one of my favorite things to do. And cooking is a high science. Your chemistry, your physics, you get to practice your math because you have to know portions.
Portions and control and converting.
Yes, absolutely. So sometimes when I invite the kids into the kitchen, the young people into the kitchen, I engage them to see, do they realize how much of the math and the physics and the chemistry is involved in simple things like cooking or even housework or your sweep. Lowell is the one who like to show people, how to do various things that involve mechanics, household tasks. So anyway, the use of technology in food preparation is all.
Has always been.
And I mean, it's still a delight for many women to discover that you don't have to, we make pudding, sweet potato pudding. The old way is to use a metal grater and punish yourself with the sweet potato and the coconut.
You cut down, put it.
And when pudding is made that way, please understand you have had a few drops of somebody's blood.
Yeah,
because it's almost impossible
to grate without
to use that metal grate without hurting yourself. So like in my house, food processors all around. And the first time I made a potato pudding for my mom, down to the smoky flavor.
Oh wow, with the scallops on the top. Yes, man.
So the first time I made one for my mom, she's like, no grater, no.
She couldn't believe it. So,
no stove with the hallelujah pan top and whatever in the middle. I just use, by the time, a pudding that would take you the old school way, that would take you 4 or 5 hours. In 45 minutes, it's in the oven. And it's only because cooking is an adventure and you must chat. And the best way to cook is have a glass of something on the counter with you.
Wow.
And music playing. And
so, she's taking us through. Oh, wow.
Yes, this is how I do it. In my kitchen, cooking is fun. But this is because I have the assistance of all kinds of technological aids. So I'm curious to see what kind of kitchen Heart has put in order to teach gastronomy technology. The other thing she says they're teaching aerial robotics. That makes sense. Those persons who went to...
Aerial robotic is using the...
remote control to do things in the air. Drones, for example.
Drones. It's drone, right?
An aspect of drones, right? Yes. My sister went to the Frenchman's party.
Yeah.
And you saw it, Lowell? Frenchman did a drone display for their party. The drones were arranged to pour champagne into a glass. Their fireworks display was just beyond.
That was at the New Year launch? Or
New Year's Day, I think is.
Okay.
Yeah. But seeing the drones pouring the champagne and you see the liquid, I'll show it to you if she shares it with me. But she's your friend, so I can't ask her.
Who that? Which one?
Claudia.
Oh,
so
they're hot girl, you know.
Very much so. It's in the DNA,
All right.
So they did. So aerial robotics, pretty cool. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Mechatronics has been around because it has been at CMU for a very long time.
Oh, mechatronics.
Yeah.
And they do, she said they teach autonomous robotics. They teach plastic die engineering. There's optoelectronics. I'm not sure what that one is, but it sounds optical. Optoelectronics. And there's mechatronics. These are all areas that are taught in our national training institution. You see, when you say things like that, you now need to say we have so many students registered and so many jobs lined up. If not, it is just breeze.
I was coming there now. I come here like a thing.
I leave the field to you, sir.
No, let me tell you something. And me can't talk about this. In 2016, 17, we did animation, right?
Yes.
We did animation, and what happened was can you get persons with a basic high school education and teach them animation? So we did the pilot. Big launch, World Bank person came down to where I was then, PBI, and all the people were there. And that, I believe, sealed the deal for Jamaica to get a loan from World Bank to move towards that.
Yes.
You train the people, then where them are go work? That is the
Very
problem.
important question.
You train the
leave.
people, they leave,
And
and,
then
they
you're
get
down here.
frustrated,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
don't even stay here,
Yeah.
and some of them not even working in that. What some have done, have gone online and getting work and things. But the idea was like how you have Canada, which is one of the major sites for film and animation and so on, that there are a lot of work they wanted to offload to Jamaica where English speaking. That has not happened. That has not happened.
And now Canada has put a noose on
how much people can
how
come
much
in,
people can
in
come
to work and so on.
to say they're
But
studying.
it speaks to the fact is, and there's another thing that is happening that one going soon come to, in terms of coding and things. We're training these people. We are investing in it. Where are they gonna be work? Where are they gonna be working?
Yeah.
You train them.
Yeah. Because on the other hand, she in this sexy job she has, let me just use her word,
Or a sexy job.
should be now courting investors who are looking. It's not difficult, because even in the special economic zone, which is a perfect place to establish these labs.
Right. You have people come and you
Yeah,
do.
people come, they set up, they work and create their patentable output, and you have Jamaicans
Work
employed in
there.
it, so they don't have to travel with, and you get some technology transferring it to. I have news for you.
Logistics coming back.
Conrad is chatting up a storm on another channel. We have to go line them up now
Wait,
on Lowell's channel.
wait, now.
And he was following the argument closely with the NDA. He asked a question. So who is hiding behind the NDA? NHT is hiding behind an NDA. That does not cover their peculiar information, which the public is entitled to hear. NHT is hiding behind it. This NDA thing, for me, so that's my answer to you, Conrad. NHT is hiding behind an NDA, using it to give the public the impression that there's a private developer who is stopping them from speaking the truth about
That's
their
not true.
motivation and their
NDA.
conduct.
We define what the NDA is.
We know what an NDA is. It is meant to give the confidential protection over the information of a third party. When your government asks you, why did you cause it to go this way? Nothing to do with the third party. You need to be able to explain yourself. Why the taxpayer not getting a house out of that development that is
And the
so
house them
beautiful
up on the
down there,
ground.
and the house is down there? You must explain why you could not find a way to come to an acceptable arrangement with the developer. Worse yet, you did it for Ruth Venn, and Ruth Venn $40 million
$40 million.
house is nothing compared to what we're talking about here. So that's my answer, Conrad. And you should check out the development because I think you'd love one of those houses.
Yeah.
What else did he say? He does use the word criminal a few times. He's not alone in that thinking. He says, we're going to court to get these information. And who is guilty? Orange jumpsuit. And I keep saying it. We pretend as if we're in a box. There are ways that we can pursue the right information, whether it is about the Integrity Commission or is about what NHT is doing and how they're doing it. There are ways to go about doing it. We're too lazy.
But you see,
We want to just call press conference and say things. If you get up and do the work, you'd be surprised what a difference it would make in this country. Then he says, Minette, people like me and the PNP should not. He's asking, should the people not pursue the information that is relevant to this situation? Absolutely, we should. I'm not separate from it. We should. I had an experience once where the Contractor General wrote to me asking me for information about business I had done with a government agency. And I wrote him back to say, you have no jurisdiction over me. Write to your agency. That was the only time I got a letter on that matter.
to the agency.
Because they were doing their investigation, and instead of getting what they can get from their agency, they're writing to me, private sector. I'm not a public officer. I'm not obliged to tell you anything. But if a public agency has drawn a check to me or offered me a contract, You are fully entitled, and no confidentiality agreement with me could prevent you from saying, well, this is what I paid out in this term. I paid Minette $10, which they usually do and withhold tax.
Yeah.
So it's not a secret. Why would you be writing to me? So, yes, the people are
agents have
entitled to know.
But remember,
and the agents must give the information about their affairs.
because even recently, the Integrity Commission won something from the Supreme Court in terms of saying to the banks, they have the right to ask you because they're confidential things. So if
Yes.
they ask you, and then people are saying, no, 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 you can't do that. So the whole thing of integrity come back on the table big time.
It never leaves the table, you know, Percy.
Big time.
It's just a matter of where you place it if it is part of the main course.
Yeah.
All right. Earl Brown is pointing out that there are many Jamaicans in deep rural areas who don't have electricity to use the high-tech devices. So if you got your gastronomy to bake pudding, so if you got your gastronomy training and you have to go and work in some wilderness resort, the wilderness resort will have its own power source. So you can use your devices. We're really not talking about things that people would do in their home. I mean, I'm serious about food preparation and so on. I would not pretend that my kitchen is the average kitchen.
No, it's not.
You've seen it.
I've been in that kitchen. It's not.
No, my kitchen is a caterer's kitchen, although I don't cater. I don't. But, you know, if you have the need to do big cooking, I have a big family kitchen that can do many things beyond. Enough about my kitchen.
But you know, it's like 9:51. If you never know.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Did the producer not notice that we should be saying goodbye? Yeah. And Taki is greeting you. So too, Kevin Galloway. Well, Percy, your birthday show is coming to an end. Is there anything you want to say?
No, man.
As you approach,
Thank you.
As you approach the next, you know,
next-
50.
Next 50, next year, decade of my life. I just want to thank all the persons who have had an input in my own life. It's kind of good that my auntie, my favorite auntie who kind of raised me when I was born, is here.
Yes.
So, and my other auntie and my mother, big up Miss Blossom, Val, Vivian. Those are they. My brothers and sisters. One of my brothers is deceased, but he
But
was
him
kind of
too.
my mentor. Tony, Michael, all those persons, all my sisters, and of course, in later life, my beautiful wife, Michelle, who has been a major part of what I've become, and to my lovely children, and to my church family. Different people along the way have had major input. My spiritual father, who is in Florida, he thing, and then of course, person I work with, Reverend Miller, give me opportunities, and of course you, Minette and Lowell.
I mean, there's a lot of, and of course, coming, you know, you're just
Yeah, but-
tacking us on to.
no, but
it's
no,
like
but-
trailing
And then
down.
of those, class of 82 caliber, big you up.
Yes.
um,
And your
the-
master's class, what about them?
Yeah.
That give you stress with the group work.
But you know, it has been good. God has been good. I am grateful. And I close it up by saying, simply by your grace, God, I've been to this point. I am grateful.
So you're not saying, first I have to thank the Almighty God.
Simply by His grace.
By
At the
His
beginning,
grace.
at the end.
And
the
at
grace
the
of God
end.
in my life.
No, I mean, we do appreciate knowing you, Pastor Percival, and I know we won't see you tomorrow. You're going off to be lazy starting this afternoon.
I like how you put it. You need to share. Yeah, but share it on air.
No,
now.
I didn't. That was
Listen, man,
only you.
Only a youngster could come up with that. When you're finished being lazy, man, you
Can you do so,
don't stuff
so?
for me. Oh, wow.
Yes, I know you're going off to be lazy. Enjoy it. And God bless you. God bless also all of you who have just kind of stood with us this morning. We don't take calls, but I know you're there listening. I pray that you have been blessed and got some greater insight into happenings based on the discussion that Percival and I have had here. To those who have sent love to Percival, God bless you. He has received it and he's already glowing under it. And back in the studio, Lloydie, thank you. Producer Lowell, you're going to get some laziness today as well. You do need some rest. Have a great weekend, everyone.